and he stated that scratch reflex cannot be elicited by a single induction shock or even by two shocks. But unless if it is a physiological stimulus, it is very intense and it is delivered less than 600 alpha apart. So, but he told that even if a strongest single induction shock for the scratch reflex, it becomes a subminimal stimulus. So the subminimal stimulus repeatedly by succeeding. So these very feeble shocks in the sense of weak shocks, succeeding with one another within a certain time period to reach the threshold level, and there it provokes a response. So he told that the long series of subminimal stimuli ultimately provoke a response by reaching the threshold level. In this scratch reflex, he observed two recordings of the reflexes. In the first, he observed the reflex appeared after the delivery of 40th successive double shocks. So after 40 times of successive induction of the double shocks, there the reflex has appeared. When the frequency is of 11.3 per second. And the second is if with the frequency of 18 per second, he observed the reflexes appeared after the delivery of 44th shocks.
Shrikar, are you there? Your voice is not audible.
Sir, now?
Yeah, now we can hear. Yeah.
Next, there he stated two types of stimulus. One is momentary stimulus and the other is of serial stimulus. For momentary stimulus, he took an example of a brake shock. When the brake shock is applied by a stigmatic pole or a needle point, like a pinprick thing, at a skin area where the scratch reflex will be elicited, then he found that in the reflex arc there produces a changes, they produce change, but the individual stimulus alone cannot produce the reflex moment. Did not produce any reflex moment. It shows its stated that it shows its facilitation effect on subsequent stimulus when applied more than 1400 alpha later. So with this momentary stimulus, he observed that the duration of the excitatory change induced by the momentary stimulus in mammalian arc is almost similar to that of the frog that we have discussed during the reflex latency, that the duration of the excitatory change in the frog is of 1500 alpha. So after this experiment in the momentary stimulus, he found that the duration of the excitatory change in this mammalian arc is similar to that of the frog. Still of serial stimuli. When the serial stimuli of the same frequency of repetition is applied, we found that the latent time of the scratch reflex is shorter, while the individual stimuli is more intense. This experiment, he observed that the length of the latency is dependent on the summation of the repeated excitatory. By this, he concluded that the length of the latency is dependent upon the summation process. By this, he found that dissimilarities between the reflex arc conduction and the nerve trunk conduction is in the reflex arc conduction. in the reflexor condition, he found that there is a considerable resistance to pass the single nerve impulse, but in the reflex arc mechanism, that is easily forced by the succession of impulses. That is the succession of impulses in the sense summation of the successive stimulus. Then finally, he states that the threshold excitability of the reflex mechanism appears much more variable than that of the nerve trunk. Because in the reflex mechanism, the duration of the stimulus is the factor in its efficiency far more than in the nerve trunk. So, in the reflex mechanism, the duration of the stimulus plays an important role in the summation for its efficiency for more than in the nerve trunk. Sir,
Yeah, Shrikant.
sir, finish that.
Okay, so that's the end of it. So can you just once again move the slide slowly from first so that we can just see. Good. Okay. Can you just keep going slowly? Once again, does anyone know about what is this make shock, break shock? Can you go to the previous slide? Okay, I think probably it's about the when we give an electrical stimuli, there is a time and suddenly the electrical current increases, and there is also a time when the electrical current stops, right? So if it's kind of a rectangular pulse, there is a time when it rises and there is a time when it reduces. And it's going uniform, it might not be producing a response. So I think that might be what he calls as a make shock and a break shock. Okay, but I'm really not getting what is this, the meaning of this slide. Now we'll have to read it.
I think maybe like as you told, when you give the shock and then when you stop, you can see some response. I think so.
Yeah, but what's the significance of it? I think maybe I'm not sure about it. Anyway, we'll look into it. Can you just keep going ahead? Yeah, Ramesh, please.
Most probably, I think it happens during the direct current stimulation, not the alternative current stimulation. I remember, I think by using battery, when we give the stimulus, so we can produce a make shock and we can produce a break shock also. So when you start the stimulus, you can see a response. Then if you continuously press, no response. Then when you release, you will see a response. So that is possible by using a direct current. By using alternate current, not possible.
That doesn't happen. Okay.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah. No. Can you just keep going?
About this make and break shock, just I will go through and explain next time.
Yeah, sure. So it'll be easy for us to understand what how they were actually giving it.
I remember I used to during frog experiments. Once I will go through and see.
Yeah, sure. Okay, right. So that's fine. Okay. So to summarize the presentation, I think basically he found that when we give a single stimulus, it doesn't respond. And responses that the reflex were not activated. But when he tried giving multiple stimuli one after the other, he started getting the reflexes. So he has told that it summates and it produces. All right. Now,
Yeah.
any questions or any sessions from anyone, and then we can just go on to a few pointers about it, and then we can conclude.
So did he said anything about the spatial and summation and temporal summation?
Yeah, in this part of his experiment, I think he has not mentioned about spatial summation, but I think spatial summation is a phenomenon, and I think he might have explained it somewhere else. But here, it seems to be more of a temporal summation, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. This temporal summation.
Yeah. Any questions from anyone? I think it was simple and straightforward. So, and we've also heard about this phenomena a bit more time during PNF workshop also. So I think all of us would be very familiar with this term.
Yes, sir.
Okay, fine. So I think that's fine and fair. Right? So talked about the summation per se. Right now,
During submission, what happens? Just a few questions I would like to ask. I had
yeah,
just ask. What happens during submission? What exactly happens there? Means where exactly the submission happens? Then how that action potential is produced for a reflex response? Yes, as I said, spatial summation, temporal summation, right?
yeah.
Yeah. So how do you determine whether it is spatial or temporal?
I think at the synapses level, sir.
Yeah, usually it happens at that level. Yes. Yeah.
So you're asking what's the how can we differentiate between whether it's a spatial summation or a temporal summation? Is that the
Yeah.
question?
How do you determine that? Is there any explanation given on that book?
So
But
Okay.
it sometimes depends. Yeah, number of fibers get stimulated. Experimentally, temporal summation is possible. When they give experiment stimulate a particular nerve fibers, it is possible experimentally. So subthreshold stimuli when you give, you cannot see any response. So that synaptic level, if you look at the synapses ends on the dendrite or sometimes directly on the nerve cell body, right? So there it produces a local potential or what we can say a graded potential. So that graded potential may not be will not reach to the threshold level. So keep stimulating, keep stimulating. So at certain time points, it will reach to the threshold level. As it reaches to the threshold level, then there will be development of action potential at the nerve of hillock, that action of hillock, where the action starts, right? So that is what the summation happens there. So the continuous stimulation of one nerve fiber to that postsynaptic neurons. So that will there what happens exactly the temporal summation happens. Spatial summation is multiple nerve fibers to one postsynaptic neurons. So there if all the fibers stimulated simultaneously, that itself is sufficient to summate that potential so that it will produce a response. So now in case of scratch reflex, whether their temporal summation he has seen or spatial summation he has seen, just If anybody has gone through that book, please explain. Otherwise, I will go through
In this particular part, I think he has told only about temporal summation.
temporal. Okay.
Yeah, he has not mentioned anything about that he had given stimulus at multiple parts and then he got a response.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Okay.
Sir, actually in spatial submission, we are giving a single that is going in the at the synapses level, it is going and stimulating the different connections. Finally, it is adding together and it is causing the postsynaptic
Yes.
excitation potential.
Yeah. Yeah. Correct.
But in temporal summation, if you are giving a sub threshold stimulus,
Yes.
so it is going and it is going uh, uh, within a few seconds, within suppose milliseconds, within they are saying
Yes.
that within few milliseconds you have to again stimulate it. So
Yeah,
it will
yes.
go and it will add and it will produces the max that threshold stimulus.
Yeah. Yes. Correct. Correct.
So here it is a repeated stimulation. There it is a single stimulation.
Single stimulation, many nerve fibers involved there. Here,
Yes.
single stimulation, a
They
particular
are
nerve
adding
fibers
up.
involved. Yes.
Yeah, they are adding up and they are creating the excitatory postsynaptic potential. Here, repeated
Potential.
stimulation within a short period of time, adding
Yes.
up and causing the excitatory postsynaptic potential.
Potential. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Correct.
So,
Hello, sir. I wanted to add something on this.
yeah, please.
So, like Ramesh sir rightly said, so these graded potentials which are generated with some amount of electrical changes happening are non-propagatory in fashion. So they don't propagate, but with that minimal subthreshold electrical discharge that is has, but it stays in its original place. But with an amount of current that is adding up to it, then it becomes propagatory. So excitatory postsynaptic potential, EPSP and IPSP, all these things comes under the gradient potential category. Then it later converts into action potential and goes on.
EPAP, ESP, and this excitatory postsynaptic excitation and inhibition, it depends what type of neurotransmitter get released there. It can be inhibitory or it can be excitatory. So
Yes.
usually glycine, glutamate, or particularly glutamate are excitatory. GABA, if there is release of GABA, then usually it will be inhibitory. So it depends what type of neurotransmitter get released and which receptor it acts. It depends upon that.
Yes.
Yeah, Jebastin. Yeah. Jebastin, is there anything else to add?
No, sir. That I had a question regarding why, in particular, he had taken scratch reflex per se, but then I had found the answer that yes, it has the highest. He has seen the effect of summation in that. He had seen evidence of summation in that, so he had taken that.
I did not get. Why did he? Why do you think so that he has taken that?
Why did he take scratch reflex to study summation?
Yeah. No, I'm not getting the answer. Can you just explain it again? Why he took that?
So because it is written that he has seen evidence of like in the past experiments, he has seen evidence of it having the longest latency, at the same time having evidence of summation in it.
Okay. Okay. But primarily, yeah, he might have seen that, but it should also be happening in almost all the other reflexes too, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so that's where he said reflex. Well, so he said this is a character of almost all the reflexes, but probably he might have seen that better there, right? Okay, so I think we had a fair amount of information about summation and what he found in that. So thank you, Srikar, for making the presentation more lively and explaining it and the specifics of it, as Sherrington has done. Yeah. Okay. I hope others don't have a question on this, and it's pretty straightforward and simple. So so probably we'll meet in the next class. And next one is reversibility of conduction. So I'd like to know who is presenting it. Reshna, are you presenting it?
So Suchi is presenting that.
Suchi is presenting that. Okay, fine. Yeah. Okay, Sanjo. Right. Okay. Thanks to everyone for joining in this session on it. Right. We'll continue reading about Sherrington's work in the forthcoming sessions too. Okay. Thank you, and I'll end
Thank you, sir.
I'll end the meeting. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Thank you, sir. Bye to all.
Yeah. Bye.